when we last spoke, there was the group of women from Fort Worth, Texas, that I had somehow been included on
You're
their link.
one of the gals.
Yep. Uh, and so the last convo that they had was a week ago Monday. And this is when we were discussing the Hang in There Kitten, and that the Hang in There Kitten is the new Keep Calm and
Carry
Keep
on.
Calm. Thank you. So this past Monday at 11 a.m., 8:11 a.m. on Monday, I sent them the traditional. You can see it there if I can figure out where the camera is.
Oh, I know what it looks like.
Hang in There Kitten.
It's emblazoned.
So I send this off thinking, I don't know what I'm going to get back. Wednesday night, well, we had hamburger helper tonight. I honestly don't remember having this since you kids all lived at home. It was pretty good. And then it devolved into a conversation about Tiger King. But then last night at 11:43 p.m., I get this picture texted to me. And for our listeners, it's the back of somebody's head with some sort of shaving implement.
Yeah, clippers. They look like dog clippers.
11:45 p.m., followed quickly by this one. This is a smiling fella.
Do you know said smiling fella?
Nope.
And is said smiling fellow... Wait, is he naked?
I do not know. His shirt's certainly off, I'll tell you that much. His neck looks great.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
And then there's this, which is a close-up of the clippers that they're using. And then here's the capper. There you go.
Wait.
There he is.
Is that him or is that somebody else?
I think it's a different guy.
It's got to be a different dude. Otherwise, all men would never worry about going bald because that guy's got a way skinnier face.
Yeah, so the first one was the photos, the side, the front, the side, where he's shirtless. At least we hope that's all that is. Subtitled before and after.
Yes.
Somebody wrote back, should have shaved it smooth. Somebody else wrote back, no, exclamation point. And then somebody else responds, I believe this is Carol Baskin who is doing the texting on this one. So she writes back, those aren't dog clippers, by the way. I have some of those if you need them, though. Somebody else writes back, I have dog clippers, just not human ones. Somebody else writes back, should have shaved them. Somebody's got a shaving dude's fixation. That's when the photo of the trimmers comes in. And then somebody says, those are my dog clippers. And then that guy shows up. Just like,
I mean, okay. He's very like, hey, look at me.
Yeah, ladies.
He thinks he looks like a cross between Vin Diesel and The Rock.
Yes, he does.
But he believes.
Right, yes, exactly.
He believes that is what he looks like. He is very happy with that.
Yes.
Cue ball.
And so a couple things. I checked our analytics. We do not, at least for the past couple of weeks, have not had any listeners in Fort Worth.
Huh.
So the question becomes, what do I respond with?
Okay, because first of all, like the thing that was so crazy from the Hang in There Kitten was that they literally did not, who doesn't acknowledge the Hang in There Kitten?
Exactly.
Like, no matter what, you must acknowledge that adorable little baby hanging from a tree.
Whether or not you're in quarantine. Right.
Right. He's holding on for dear life. And it applies always, which is why we have brought it back into pop culture.
Right. And especially Friday night quarantine. It's almost Saturday. It's almost midnight. Maybe you've had a few wobbly pops. And you're like, I want to shave something. And you take your husband, significant other, I don't know, no judgment.
Right.
Partner. And
slave.
You're like, yeah, I'll shave you. I mean, the slave, you probably don't have to ask. It's just like, I'm shaving you.
That's true.
But yeah, so I don't know what to send since the Hang in There Kitten didn't really, I was going to say garner the intended response. It didn't garner any response. Everyone just kept on. I just feel like I'm in the corner going, excuse me. 1 second. Can I just jump in here and then I'll leave?
Like, I feel like because the first string of texts, it kind of seemed like it was a bunch of like gal pals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the second string of texts, they specifically mentioned since you kids were all home. So then I wondered if it was a family. So now I feel like I wonder if they think you're the kid they don't like. Like, are you the child they ignore? Like, oh, it's
Well,
just Timmy again.
it's
with his-
scary, right?
right, with his stupid posters.
I don't know, but it's a different area code. It's such a different number. It's
I know.
let's say you don't know the zip code from which, or I'm sorry, area code from which I am responding
Harold?
to.
Yeah.
Thank you. But you've gotta at least kind of look at that and go, huh, that's
Right?
not my son. That's not someone in my family.
Well, you're obviously in the phone, right? So, and I feel like they must have just put you in by your first name. So you probably just show up as Luke. They're not seeing
Okay,
your phone
so
number. So they don't
okay,
know your area code, right? But if they hate their kid Luke, or they think their kid Luke is not worthy of a response to,
understandable.
they still should acknowledge the hang in there kitten, because the kitten's adorable.
Right. He's just this sort of hated son, this prodigal son we've created
Right.
is at least trying, you know?
Right.
He's trying.
This has become really sad. Now I think that they think you're their kid they don't like.
Now, I'm the cousin Oliver of the family.
You are cousin Oliver.
So now what do I respond with? What do I how do I react to this? Because part of me wants to be like, seriously, guys, we're doing this? We're ignoring this?
Well, right.
I
kind of want to be angry and burn their house down. But,
right, exactly.
But maybe
Couple things. One, it's going to be hard to get over there
True.
this holiday season.
True.
But I don't know. What is the response? There is another meme. You know what I mean? Do you send it? Because
or do you just say, if you hadn't made us eat hamburger helper, maybe I'd still be home right now.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of just sort of very quietly just going about my business, and but something's gotta. I don't know what gives.
I mean,
I don't know.
I almost wonder if you have to respond, like, wait just a smidge, not a long time, but a couple days, so you're not really responding to the fake Vin Diesel, right?
Right, sure.
So,
I don't want to give him that encouragement.
Right. Use like old school dating rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't respond. Everything we need to know, you learned from Vince Vaughn. But
right.
And then I think you're right. It should be.
Thank you for not saying the rules. Was that the name of the book?
Oh, I hated that book.
Of course.
Well, you know what I read?
Huh.
You know what I read instead? Oh, well, no. You know what I read?
He's just not that into you?
No. Oh, no, I didn't read that either. Sure, but again, I'm unmarried, so maybe I should have. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But instead of reading the rules, we read the code.
And was that the one for like dudes?
Yep.
I see. Yeah. We have to get into that at some point.
Oh yeah, we will. But not today.
Are you the type of reader who does it with a highlighter?
Oh, hell no.
Okay. So we're definitely going to have to. I was hoping we'd be able to go through and sort of poll.
Well, for the sake of our, venture here, I would be happy to.
This is all going to be cut out. Yeah.
I could go back and highlight.
I would like to know exactly.
I'll go back and highlight for you.
Thank you. But we digress.
Yes. But I think you do need to either send another meme.
Exactly.
Or you could send a parody song.
Wow. Go Weird Al on them.
Yeah. That might be funny.
I don't like it. My first thought is New Phone Who Dis or some version of that.
I know, but that ruins. That's like the end of the story, and I don't want it to end.
Exactly. I want to get a response, sort of.
Right. And I want the response to be them either acknowledging what you've done or saying, "Who phone do that? Who's this?"
Right. Exactly. Like you cannot. I don't know. It's just you cannot give me that reaction, or I'm sorry, no, you can't give me that lack of a reaction, and then and just keep moving and send me pictures of your shaved husband.
Right.
I refuse to stand for this.
I agree, because that is.
Don't get me wrong, great trim, and I could use one. I've got like a Johnny Tremaine kind of going on here. I just need the little bow, and I'm ready to sign the Declaration of Independence.
And perform songs from Hamilton.
Yeah, or just go hang out with Ben Franklin. I don't know.
Well, we've already done that.
Yeah, air bathe with Ben over the weekend. We'll be 6 feet apart.
More
Anyway.
than 6 feet apart.
So, but what do I send?
I think maybe you should just send him a picture of Ben Franklin.
Oh, our Ben Franklin or just a Ben Franklin?
I actually would like it to be our Ben Franklin because that would
Right.
really make them be like, what the fuck is happening right now?
I'm going to see if I can find, if we could get one of Ben Franklin thumbs up. That's what I'm hoping for. Let me just do a quick Google.
Or one with some really random Ben Franklin quote. Like a good one.
But they're all going to be like, you know, beer is proof that God loves us. And
Yeah,
you're just like, no. No one has made a Benjamin Franklin meme. Okay. So we've got this one where he's in I believe that's a beaver skin hat. I believe that one. Yeah. And we can post this on our blog because people are going to have to see this. We've got your traditional, elder statesman.
I like the beaver hat.
I think the beaver hat kind of fits. Oh, here's one. It's a GIF of him where he will watch. There you go. And then Ben winks at you.
I like that one. I like winking Ben.
Yeah. Here's one. It looks like it's from.
I like disapproving Ben too.
Here's one here's nonplussed Ben. He's seen it all before.
Yeah, that's what we want.
He doesn't like your shaving job.
Next time they say something stupid, right?
All right, I'm just going to save that. How long have you wanted to do this career?
Ooh, this was actually a career that I kind of developed later in life. I had no intention of ever getting into stunts. I was actually going to be a lawyer and go to law school. And I did about a year. I did go to law school for a year, and it just wasn't my passion. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. And I decided to kind of take a break and to try to figure out what I wanted to do with my life because I had no clue what I wanted to do. And right after I got out of that first year of law school, that summer following, I got into skydiving. And I actually was doing my course to get my skydiving license. So I ended up getting that. And then that kind of just opened up a bunch of doors. Like I just kind of got a newfound, drive to just try a little bit of everything. So I started doing a little bit of modeling and some event work. And since I live so close to Chicago, they're always filming and they always needed a bunch of extras for the TV shows and movies. So I started doing a little bit of extra work. It's always fun to just be a part of it. And then I would see all these stunt people, and a lot of the stuff that they would do was stuff that I kind of grew up doing. Like I grew up, always climbing things I wasn't supposed to and jumping off of things. And I had a little bit of a gymnastics and competitive cheerleading background. And I grew up riding horses. So I was always, kind of a little more outgoing than some of the other kids. And it was just something that clicked. I was like, I want to do stunts. I want to get into it. And I have that personality that when I want to do something, I do my research. I spend a lot of time reading books and seeing who the key players are that I need to talk to. And I did that with Chicago. And Chicago, at that time, Chicago is getting bigger and bigger every year in terms of production. But they were still filming Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and Chicago Med. Those are still our core shows, and they've also just been renewed for another 3 seasons, which is really exciting.
Oh, yeah.
But the people who do stunts in Chicago, they make up a group called Midwest Stunts. And so one day I just looked them up online, and I knew who the stunt coordinators were, and I just kind of sent a generic email to the email address that I found, just kind of introducing myself. And I sent a resume, a little makeshift resume with just the stuff that I was able to do because I was already into skydiving at the time, and that kind of makes me stand out a little bit.
Sure.
and sent a headshot over and just kind of let it be. I wasn't expecting a response. But that night, actually, I received an email from a gentleman. His name is Chris Nolte, and he is a big stunt coordinator in Chicago. And to this day, I owe so much to him with helping me get my start. But he responded to my email, and he just asked a couple questions. He was wondering, if I've done any stunts professionally, if I'm part of the SAG-AFTRA union. And at the time, I was not. So I responded to that email, and that was it. And I didn't hear anything back from him until about the next week. And I was driving, and I got a phone call from a Chicago number. So I just decided to answer it. I wasn't sure. And I picked it up, and it was Chris Nolte. And his words that I quote were, "Hey, Rachel, you must have a crystal ball, because I'm actually looking for somebody your exact height and weight to double an actress on an upcoming episode of Chicago Fire. Are you free next week?" And I was like, oh my God. All of my research, like, it doesn't happen that fast. We all have our different starts in it, and some people could take years to even try to get into it. And I literally had to pull over on the side of the road because I was like, I don't even know what's going on right now. And of course I was like, yes, I'm available, like, just yes. And I got my first job on Chicago Fire, and that ended up getting me into the SAG-AFTRA union. And Chris Nolte, he kind of took me under his wing for this episode particularly. It was back in, I think, season 5 of Chicago Fire. We just finished up season 8 this year. But I was doubling just an actress who, you have your main actresses and actors, and then you have the ones that come in just for, an episode or a rescue scene for that. And so I got to double an actress who was in Millennium Park, and she ended up getting herself stuck in a child swing and tied up upside down. So it was a lot of fun. And then, he took me under his wing, and he kind of introduced me to a lot of other stunt people and invited me to some trainings. And I just kind of started networking from there. And it was just one of those right place, right time opportunities that even when I tell other stunt people, they just are like, you don't know how lucky you are. I'm like, no, I really do understand how lucky I am.
So that day one, you're stuck in a swing set, you're hanging upside down.
Yes.
When in that day did you say, I've made a good choice?
Oh man, that was even, well, leading up to that day, we ended up having you first go in for a wardrobe fitting. So I had to do that. And it was just that whole process after that phone call, because he, for Chicago Fire, a guy named Rick Lefevre is the main stunt coordinator, and Chris Nolte kind of assists him with everything. And it was a lot of stuff that I had to learn on the fly. But after that phone call, my information got sent over to wardrobe, and then they emailed me, and then I had to go and do a wardrobe fitting. And it's always like they want it done tomorrow, right now. Like, are you free to come down in a few hours? Type thing. So it was like a whole whirlwind of a few days of wardrobe fitting. And then I had to go down to set for a rehearsal because they had to make, obviously I could not fit into a real child swing. They had to make one to fit an adult. So I had to go in there, and then they had to fit one to me, and then we rehearsed, and I got to meet the actress. So it was just one of those things where I felt like I was kind of living somebody else's life, and I was just kind of seeing it from the outside perspective, because it just happened so fast that I couldn't even process it. And then when I actually made it to set, it was just one of those things where, I had my own trailer and hair and makeup, and just people, always following me around, fixing this and that, and asking if I need anything. And it was just such a crazy experience. But I'm so fortunate that I did have such an amazing group of stunt safety that day, and some other performers that really helped me along, because I was so nervous. And I've read horror stories of people, it's all kind of based on reputation, the stunt industry. So if you make a mistake once, or if you offend somebody or do something wrong, they're just gonna write you off and never hire you again. So I was terrified that I would make a mistake, but so far I haven't. I've been doing this now over going on 4 years now.
So what's it like when obviously your first time there in the swing and all of that, there's that feeling, but then especially the kinds of shows you're working on, I'm sure you're dealing with some pretty dangerous situations.
Yeah.
So what is that like as you learn each new thing and put yourself in these precarious moments?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about Chicago Fire first, because that's probably the most dangerous that I've worked on, just because it's a lot of rescue situations. And when we work with fire, it's all real fire that we're using. We're one of the only shows that don't use any CGI for our fires.
I'm
so
sure
we
you're
have
thrilled with that fact.
Yeah.
You walk
I
on the
love
set.
I love it. We do a lot of actual fire burn training where we set ourselves on fire. So I've probably been set on fire like 24 times now over the course of training. So we do that for training too, even if the scene doesn't call for me specifically being on fire. But since we're around it so much, we always want to know how to respond, because when you're specifically on fire, when you're dealing with it, like it's such a different element than just, being around a bonfire or
Not being on
lighting.
fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of trainings with it. And then when we work on set, we have a specific stage. We call it the burn stage, that it's designed obviously to handle fire and smoke, and it's properly ventilated. And we always have a big safety crew on set. We have mandated like firefighters and paramedics that have to come out. And then we also have a lot of stunt safety is always, just in case anything were to go wrong. But everything are controlled burns as well. But you obviously have to plan for the worst. We always do safety meetings before we even set any fire, of just showing, where the fire is going to be, who is going to be involved and around it, and just what worst case scenario type things. And then when I've had to do a couple rescue situations where I'm in the fire, like being trapped in a building and have to be pulled out. And so I'm usually unconscious. That's my thing, is I'm the unconscious one that has to be rescued. But all of my wardrobe, like underneath, I have special layers on for heat and for fire protectant. And any exposed skin has to be covered with a specific gel to kind of help. Obviously, it doesn't prevent the fire from getting burned, but it'll add a specific layer. And then any people who are, like all of our camera people, or anybody that has to be inside the building, they're wearing legitimate firefighting gear, as well as the actors, just because we're working with real fire. So a lot of it is, very dangerous what goes into stunts, but we spend more time behind the scenes, like rehearsing and going over safety, than actually performing the stunt. And that's why, that's the point of, you're doing stunts. You want to make it seem like it's extremely dangerous, but also performing it to be the safest that it can be. So it's always a lot of work.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Now, like
for like
Houdini,
a couple minute scene.
Yeah. Now, Houdini sort of famously would not do anything more dangerous than it would be to sit in his bathtub.
Uh-huh.
That said, Houdini was never lit on fire.
Yes.
Right.
Like, this is dangerous. Like, do you get nervous every time? Or when do those nerves hit? Is it as you're laying there and they're about to drop the torch on you? Or is it when you get to set?
It's one of those, I don't know. We rehearse it. Like, obviously there's always that little bit of anxiety, and I don't want to say fear, but there's always that little bit in the back of your mind, that you have to be very aware of what you're doing. There's obviously a little bit of adrenaline too, and it's exciting, but you always have to remember that you're there for a job, and that you have to not only trust yourself, but trust all the people around you. So we rehearse it so much, and we do a lot of trainings on our own, that by the time we get to set and actually have to perform it, that it's always pretty smooth sailing. And the stunt coordinators are always very good about making sure that we're comfortable in every situation. They never want to let us do something that we're not prepared to do, or that's beyond our ability. So there's definitely that little bit of just, anxiety there, but just as crazy as it sounds, like it's a lot of fun, and we make it as safe as we can do it. And the more exposure you get around it, And when we do these trainings, I not only learn how to perform while set on fire, like we work with various different burns. Like I've had my hands set on fire, my arms, my legs. I've done full body burns where I have like my arms, my back, and the back of my legs. So it's a really, really hot burn. But we also learn how to do prep for it. So I learn how to get people prepped up and the proper gear and the proper fire gel. And then I also, we all train in safetying people, like learning how to put somebody out. And even if the performer is not ready to be put out, like knowing that warning signs, like they might, because when you're on fire, it's a very weird feeling. You feel the heat.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
You don't say.
I know. But you could be literally burning before you actually are aware that you are, because you have so many different layers on, so it's hard to tell. So if as a safety you see something that obviously just does not look right, just immediately go and put them out. And so we learn a little bit about everything, and that helps, prevent that fear associated with actually performing it. It's just making sure we're as prepared as possible. So
Now, when you're on fire and something starts to go wrong,
yeah,
is there a signal? What is your say? Is it just like the one finger, like, excuse me, for them to come in and like douse you as quick as possible and let's try again, or we got to check something out?
Yeah, for when we do trainings, we always drop to the ground. That's the cue, is whether or not we're, running or moving or whatever. As soon as we drop down, we have those safety people that are like just outside of the camera shot, just ready to put you out. Obviously, depending on if you're doing it for a TV show or a movie or some sort of scene, you always figure that out ahead of time. Like if something was to go wrong, because when you're on fire, like you yelling might not be communicated well. So usually it's like you just drop down or you have some sort of predetermined signal. So it's kind of already always established ahead of time. But the ones that I've done, it's always dropped to the ground. And then within like a split second, you're being put out. And then they pull away from you. And then you see if you have any hot spots, just because stuff can get reignited, and you just always want to be okay. And then from there, once you're out, you immediately have somebody helping you, get out of all that clothing, just because you still have some fuel and accelerant on you. So, but all of that stuff is, determined ahead of time before we even think about getting the fire out.
Wow. That's amazing. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
I can't even.
I'll see if I can.
What's a stunt you haven't done yet that you can't wait to be asked to do?
Oh, I would love to do a skydiving stunt for some show or movie or something. I've gotten to do some really cool skydiving stunts, like for like I got to do a gender reveal for somebody, so I got to jump with some smoke. I got
to. What gender was the child?
It was a girl, so I had a pink canister. Yes.
All right.
Yes. And this past September, I got to skydive into a wedding with Jeff Dawson, who you had just interviewed.
Yes.
So I was stunt doubling the bride, wearing a full wedding dress into this wedding.
Was Jeff wearing pants?
He was wearing a full tuxedo. I know.
Okay. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it had to be naked, like the naked wedding crashers would have been
hard to recognize him.
Oh, I know, man. It's weird. Like it's seeing him in clothes is the unusual thing, as crazy as that sounds.
I love it.
But yeah, I would love to do a skydiving stunt for some sort of production. Like I said, I've done those live things. I also did a commercial a couple years ago, but it was just M&T Bank, which I think is on the East Coast. They ended up finding some video footage of me skydiving. So they just paid me for my video. And so I was in a commercial, but I've never actually had to perform skydiving stunts. So I'd love to at one point. So hopefully. And then I also got to do a fun job on Chicago Fire where I was buried alive in cement, and then I had to be rescued from the cement. So
This does not sound fun at all.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
that was probably the most unique job that I've done. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, literally buried alive in cement, and have to be pulled out. But I was covered head to toe, and it was freezing outside when we filmed it. But it was a lot of fun.
Okay, that one I feel like would have to freak you out. No?
I don't know. I have a good sense of, I don't know. I don't like using the word fearless just because you don't ever want to be absent of fear entirely. Right. But I just am able to process situations a little bit differently than a lot of other people. I guess that's why I'm a skydiver as well, because that fear kind of drives me and it allows me to focus more than other people. And yeah, everything that I've had to do, I've been willing, and it's been fun, and yeah, nothing scared me yet. So
that's awesome.
Well, now, when you get set on fire, there's a lot of precautions you can take so you don't actually burn. If you're getting shot in a TV show, obviously they're not using real bullets. When you get buried alive in cement, what's the thing how do you not do that and actually be like, well, we're going to get some cement and then we're going to put it on top of you and hope it all goes? Like, what do they do so you don't
suffocate?
Well, this was a fun one. There's actually a little
we need to redefine fun for you.
Yeah, my parents would agree with you. Every time I'm like, hey, guess what I did? They're like, I don't even want to know.
Like just a nice, board game can be fun.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm having to learn how to do during this quarantine is a lot of this stuff. I've been doing puzzles a lot, and it's,
Yahtzee. You should try that. That's fun.
Yes.
Well, Yahtzee is fun.
Yeah.
That is true.
So, but let's get back to the concrete they're putting on top of you.
Yes.
How do you not get killed?
So there is a little bit of a trick to doing this. And so prior to us shooting the scene, the special effects team, they made a life-size dummy of me. So they molded me head to toe, and they literally created a fake Rachel. And that was used for a lot of the beginning stuff where I was completely buried and they were just like running up to the cement pile and seeing somebody underneath. So they created a stunt double of me to do that initial stuff, which was really cool because not many stunt performers get full dummies made of them. And she was identical to me. It was really kind of creepy to see it.
Did they do the full mask?
Yes.
Wow.
So it
with
was
the tubes and all that.
Yeah.
Even that. Okay.
That was very mentally straining just because you couldn't move anything. You could barely breathe. And you were in that for like an hour plus. And you had two little like nose holes and that was it. And I have a really cool time lapse video of them doing that on me and stuff. But so for the beginning part of the scene, it's the premise is a cement truck driver doesn't see a woman and ends up like tipping over the cement truck to try to avoid hitting her, but she ends up getting hit and all the cement pours out and everything. So part of the scene is them driving up on the tipped over cement truck and then seeing this woman that's under there. So in the beginning shot, it's actually my stunt double dummy that's under there. And then after they go to pull her out, then it switches to me. So I ended up being buried myself, under the cement, but it was not for as long as, what they were shooting for. Because when we film, we're filming anywhere from like 6 hours, 14 hours. And so they used the dummy initially. And then it was me that they would swap in for that initial, like when they come up on me and then pull me out. So it was still, it's very messy but they dug a hole in it so I could kind of be hidden in a hole with some room. And then they would put the cement over me. So it wasn't super claustrophobic. And so by the time they'd pull me out, I was really only in there for a little bit of time. But if you see the episode, it looks like I'm the one that's really under there, but it was really my stunt double. But yeah, it was a mess. That was one thing where obviously they're not using fake cement, but they're using substances that make it look like it. So all that stuff froze in my hair, and it took me like a week to end up like washing it completely out of my hair, because like we had to shoot for hours, and it was, yeah, I can send you guys pictures if you like, but it was a mess. And then I was unconscious during this, so they have to pull me out, and Chief Bowden in the episode, he ends up digging cement out of my mouth, and they made that cement out of cake frosting. So it was actually really
Oh,
good.
This
okay.
is tasty.
Yes.
Okay.
I could do that.
Yeah.
That part
Yeah.
we're totally in.
Yeah.
Yes. It was good. Yeah, they added like a little bit of granola for some texture, but then he's digging cement out of my mouth, and then the paramedics come and they stick a suction in my mouth to suck it all up, and then I end up like choking and spitting some out, and then I survive. So
Woohoo!
Hey.
not very
Yay!
glamorous, but
Happy ending.
yeah, it was
Oh my
fun.
gosh, I can't even. I just can't even. I can't even imagine what the process is, to your point about your hair. Like when you go home at night, you're like, are your neighbors like, oh my God, it smells like something's burning? Are you like, what kind of shampoo do you have to use? Like all of this stuff.
Oh man. Yeah, it's yeah, anybody who knows me, like they kind of expect it now. Like when Rachel comes home with all this stuff on, sometimes I like wash my makeup off, sometimes I still have like fake blood or fake smoke on my face, and but coconut oil is really good for fake cement out of the hair. So just for
nice. Good to know.
As a double, you're putting yourself in danger in the place of an actor.
Mm-hmm.
How much work do you do, any work with the actor in sort of getting into that character so it looks, when they cut it together, oh, it's the same person?
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with the actor at all on that?
Yeah, we will. So I'll kind of clarify a little bit about stunts. You can either be a stunt double, or you can have a specific stunt role where it's you as the performer, but they're just you. So you'll see you as you. And so I've done about equal number of both. I've doubled some actresses before, and then I've also gotten to do my own roles. So you'll see me as me being rescued, and that's pretty fun. It's just whatever the scene calls for. They don't want to put an actress in there just because it's around fire or it's too dangerous, so they'll throw a stunt performer in there instead of the actress. But when we do work with actresses or actors, like it's our job to, that we're there to make them look good. That's our job. And so we kind of, if we have a rehearsal, obviously that's when we get introduced, and you kind of let them know what you're doing there. Sometimes like the actresses, especially on the main actresses on our shows, sometimes they are comfortable with doing their own stunts, which is fine. And sometimes you're just there in case they get tired or they're just over it for the moment, or so sometimes we don't even have to do anything. We're just kind of there on standby, but we're always just there if they need us. And we always communicate that early on, and just help them out as much as you can. And our job, obviously, when they're doing their stuff and we're watching, it's to watch how they're moving, watch how they carry themselves and how their posture is and how they even walk. So it's very much, you always just have to be observant and pay attention, because how I run and chase a bad guy might not be the same as how my actress does it. And even especially like now that I'm into stunts, when I watch movies and TV shows, obviously now it's a lot more very well done, to where it's hard to tell if it's a stunt performer. But years ago you could kind of easily tell. But and that's part of us as our performers, and our responsibility is to always want to look as realistic as possible. And obviously they make us look our same hair, and sometimes they put wigs on us, and obviously in the same wardrobe, but you always just want to do your own little research and homework. And I've even some of my actresses, when I get my call sheet and find out who my actress is, I'll look them up on IMDb, see what else they've done, see if they have any websites or any social media, just to kind of see how they are and if they have any like acting reels or such. So yeah, a good performer will always kind of do their homework and try to try to get to know them and, communicate as much as you can with them to see if there's anything in particular they want you to do. Cause they're essentially like, our boss is the stunt coordinator, and the directors obviously, but our job is to make the actors look good. And we always want them to be happy with us. Cause if they don't like us, or if they're, not happy with us, they have a lot to say. And if we ever come back, so it's just, it's part of the whole thing, is just watching and observing and learning, because you're always learning at any time, even if you're not actively performing.
Be sure to follow Why the Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and check out our YouTube channel for some additional great Why content. If you're so inclined, please leave us a review and let us know how we're doing.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hedquist. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our graphic designer is Samantha Mustonen. Our intern is Randy Jeanette. The theme song was performed by the Electrosyntho-Magnetic Polyphonic Orchestra. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?